Okay, so the first example is Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. As we all know, this is the first ayah of Suratul Fatiha. Now, with regard to this ayah, the first word you can see on the screen is Alhamdu. So one thing is clear that Alhamdu is ism. How do I know this? Because we discuss the signs of ism, and one of the major signs is that if a word has alif lam, this alif lam, which is a definite article, T-H-E-D. In Arabic, we call it alif lam or lamu tarif. So because of this alif lam, I know that this is a ism and it is in rafa status. How do I know this? Because of it's a singular ism, and singular ism has dhamma or pesh. This is a sign that this is a ism and in rafa status. Now, because your sentence is starting with ism, and we know that if a sentence starts with ism, that is a jumlatul ismiya or nominal sentence. So alhamdu will become your mubtada or subject. Let's call it, for sake of simplicity, MB, mubtada. Okay, let's move on. Lillahi. Now, lillahi is two words. One is lam and other is Allah. And as we know that we have learned this in prepositions, that lam is one of the prepositions, which means that this part is a prepositional phrase. Inside of it, we have lam, which will be called jar or preposition. And this Allahi part will be called majroor, or you can say ism in jar status. And that is the reason that Allahi is in jar status. Why? Because lam preposition is attached with it. Now, it is a jumlatul ismiya because it starts with the ism, and then we got this jar majroor phrase. And we have learned this thing, that jar majroor's phrase can play two roles in a jumla ismiya. Role number one, which is the normal role, that is muta'alliq bil khabar. Okay, and the second role is, in case if we do not get a khabar means predicate, then this will play the role of khabar, and we give it a specific name, shibhul jumla khabar. Okay, so let's wait for a second that what label will go for lillahi. If we get our khabar, we'll call it muta'alliq bil khabar. If we did not get our khabar, then we'll call it shibhul jumla khabar. So let's keep moving. Okay, let's inshallah do the next one. Ulaika humul khasirun. So ulaika humul khasirun. This first part, ulaika part, first of all, we have learned this in our module number 2. Ulaika is ismul ishara. Okay, and ismul ishara, obviously the name is itself telling you that it is a ism. So your jumla or your sentence is starting with the ism, ulaika. Okay, now ulaika will become your mubtada. Let's label this one. Now let's move on. Hum al khasiruna. Now please recall one thing. We discussed in our study of Jumlatul Ismiya, after your mubtada, if you get an independent pronoun, this is a sign that in this example or in this sentence, your khabar itself will be a complete jumla, which means this humul khasiruna, inshallah we analyze this in a second, is going to play the role of khabar. That is one point. So in a bigger scheme of picture, these are the two parts of this jumla. This is the bigger scheme of, if you zoom out, these are the two parts. Ulaika is the mubtada part, Humul khasiruna is the khabar part. As I just mentioned, that your khabar part is itself going to be a complete sentence. Okay. Now let's analyze this khabar part. Inside the khabar part, let's put the labels on the top just to distinguish them from the other labels. Hum part is your mubtada part. Why? Because you have learned this thing that one word mubtada can appear in 5 shapes, and one of those shapes is the independent pronoun shape. So this hum part is your mubtada part, and this al khasiruna part is your khabar part. This is the analysis inside of khabar. Let me repeat one more time. Ulaika is the mubtada part. Humul khasiruna complete is the khabar part. Inside humul khasiruna, hum is the mubtada for this sentence, which is the inner sentence, and al khasiruna is the khabar part. Okay, now let's translate it. Ulaika. Ulaika mean those. Okay, those are, hum mean they, al khasiruna the losers. So those, then comma, they are the losers. One more time, those, and then a comma, they are the losers. Now, as I mentioned before as well, that if you can see that ulaika and hum, both of them are referring to the same people. So in this way, your jumla becomes more emphatic. So you can simply say ulaika khasiruna. This was a simple sentence. One more time, ulaika khasiruna, they are losers. Or you can simply say hum khasiruna. Okay, they are losers. But ulaika and then hum, so you basically double the reference to those people, and in this way jumla has become emphatic. That's one point. Last point is, in case of our study of jumla ismiya, ulaika is in the category of one word mubtada, and humul khasiruna is in the category of complete sentence khabar. Because you remember, khabar has 3 types: one word khabar, a complete sentence khabar, and shibhul jumla khabar. In the last example of alhamdulillah, we got shibhul jumla khabar. In this example, we got a full sentence khabar. Now your questions.
Is this in the second category of khabar from your slides?
Yes, sister. This is second category, which is the complete sentence khabar. You are right, because khabar has 3 types: one word khabar, a complete sentence khabar, and shibul jumla khabar. This is the second type, complete sentence khabar. Okay, inshallah, I hope that there's no more question. Let's inshallah do the next sentence. Okay, so the next sentence is Ulaika ashabun nar. Okay, so once again, we did already. Ulaika is in the one word category of mubtada. And if you go very specifically, this is ismul ishara. Okay, so it is also in the one word category. So MB mean mubtada. Now, ashabu, okay, ashabu. This obviously, inshallah, we will build our vocabulary very slowly, inshallah, very soon. We start this one. But ashabu mean companions. Okay, ashabu mean companion. Okay, ulaika, those. Now remember one point: there is no word in Arabic language for is, am, are. Right after the mubtada, you are going to place your is, am, are. Okay, ulaika, those, then are. Okay, those are ashabu. Ashabu mean companions. Sahib, sahib is a singular, and ashab is the plural. Okay, ashabu an-nari. Now please pay attention. An-nari. What status? First of all, it is a ism. How do I know? Because of alif lam. Now, it is a singular ism. How do I know? Because there is no sign of pair and plural. So, an-nari is a ism in jar status. I just mentioned a few minutes ago, and let me repeat, and please pay attention. It's a very important point. Whenever you get ism in jar status, your first job is you need to look what is before this ism. As you can see, before the ism is the word ashabu. Now you will ask your question, is ashabu a preposition? Obviously not. If in case, okay, if ashabu was a preposition, you will say ashabu is the jar and annar is the majroor. But that is not the case. If that is not the case, the only other option in Arabic language is that ashabu is the mudaf and annar is the mudaf ilay. In other words, ism cannot be in jar status except in two situations. Number one, there's a preposition before it, and number two, there's a mudaf before it, which means in this case, ashabu is not the preposition, so ashabu will play the role of mudaf, and an-nari will play the role of mudaf ilay. That's one point. Now, let me analyze this one now. Okay, so this ashabu and an-nari together, as I just mentioned, this ashabu part is the mudaf part, and this an-nari part is the mudaf ilay part. Mudaf ilay part. Okay, so remember this point. In the categories of khabar, as you know, we have put mudaf ilay in the one word category of khabar, which means ulaika is in the one word category of mubtada, and ashabun nari, this ashabun nari part together. Okay, ashabun nari, this whole thing, ashabun nari is your khabar. And very specifically, this khabar so very specifically, this khabar is the, so this is the khabar part, and this khabar is in your one word category khabar. It's mudaf ilay. Any question about this one? So one more time, ulaika is mubtada, ashabun nari together is a khabar. Inside ashabun nari, it's a mudaf ilay thing.
Is it murakkab idafi?
Excellent. Yes, excellent.
Brother, this ashabu is a special mudaf?
Yes, sister, you are right. Because you remember, we learned a word sahib. Sahib was one of the special mudaf, and the plural of sahib is ashab. Excellent point. Very good point, sister. MashaAllah. Excellent point. Any more questions about this third sentence? Okay, now please pay attention. Just one very important point. You might have noticed one thing. When I did the analysis of first sentence, you're feeling more uncomfortable, and this was natural. Okay, when you move to second one, I guess that you felt a little bit more comfortable. Inshallah, in third one more. And let me give you one assurance. Inshallah, bi'iznillahi ta'ala, after tomorrow's lesson, you will feel very comfortable, because this is something natural. Studying one thing as a theory is one thing, but now all of that theory is coming into practice. Okay, and obviously it takes time to settle down. Inshallah, bi'iznillahi ta'ala, tomorrow is still the same topic. Inshallah, tomorrow I will discuss from the practice sheet number 2. At the same time, inshallah, I'll bring more examples from the Quran to make it, inshallah, further clear for all of you. And remember this point. Please, this same sheet, now it is your job to analyze these 3 sentences on your own. Okay? And if you face any problem, In tomorrow's class, inshallah, before I start something, you can ask your questions first, and then inshallah we can move on to our next practice. Okay, jazakumullah khair, barakallahu fi, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.